No wooden chairs.
No wooden chairs.
That was fucking cold.
Yeah. First solo in English.
First solo in English. It was a success last time, so why not try again? How did you feel about the ice bath?
I feel like I'm getting better.
Closer with the mic.
Closer with this shit.
It's a nice ritual, right? To do before the solo.
It's nice, but I feel like I'm doing it at home as well. Like I told you, what I do is I take the ice cubes, put them in a bucket, hose under the buckets, and then put them up.
Yeah.
That shit is
But you still do that off-grid solution?
Still do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from where do you get the ice cubes?
From the freezer.
Okay,
I just make the ice cubes. You know, you just take like 3 trays of ice cubes.
Yeah.
Trust me, that's enough.
Yeah.
Then
it's fucking expensive.
Yeah, and controlling your breathing under that's different because you just get that coldness.
You think it's worse than this?
Actually, yeah. Because you get it on your head.
But what do you think the temperature is with your ice bath?
Similar to this one.
Really?
Yeah.
5, 6, 7,
I
something
have to
like
show you, I guess, but it's actually really effective because imagine you have a bucket here and you fill it up more than halfway full of ice cubes.
Uh-huh.
And then basically just the water comes down, fill it up. So the water's coming down at the other end is fucking freezing. Because imagine 3 trays of ice cubes takes what? 2 minutes for that shit to melt entirely with the coldest water. So it's the coldest water combined with that in 2 minutes.
But how long does it last with these ice cubes?
2 minutes, I think.
2 minutes?
2 minutes. And sometimes I can't fucking withstand the whole thing. But it's a good off-grid solutions for people.
It is.
Just take a bucket, take a few holes underneath, put it up over your shower head, and fill it up with ice cubes. And then I take the remaining ice cubes when it's like this little left, put them on the floor, and I stand on them. Both.
You stand out there?
Yeah. Both for
What?
Both for what's it called? Massage thing, like the
myofascial releases.
Kind of.
The MFR.
Yeah, but also for the cold.
Stand by ice
That's even worse.
in your shower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I take the rest and I put it down. Like, why not? Why would I? Because I've seen Wim Hof do it.
Yeah.
I've seen him walk around with. You remember when we talked to him? He told us that someone had given him a beer, and he said, "Now I'm gonna stand out in the snow for 3 hours." And then after that, I'm like, "Wait,
I'm gonna stand on ice cubes now."
Yeah, try it, because that is. After he said that, I'm like, "That's true." Like when you go outside in snow and you put your hands in snow or your feet in snow, that shit is almost unbearable.
He talked about curing some. I don't know if it's a disease, but something with people having cold hands. Do you remember him talk about that?
Actually, I didn't.
So like people having difficulties with getting the blood flow out to the extremities, like the hands and the feet, and that could be cured from exposing these limbs to the cold. For example, the hands and the feet. I don't know if that's the same.
It makes sense, because what he was saying, I remember that, is basically the cold trains your very deep cardiovascular system, which is your heart, right? Yeah. So the reason that you have cold hands or cold feet must be because your heart doesn't pump the blood all the way out, right?
It's a blood flow issue, yeah.
So I guess that kind of makes sense that you could cure it if it's really the deep cardiovascular.
I guess the best cardiovascular workout to do in terms of cold exposure is to do the cold exposure or the heat cold contrast therapy, where you go from the sauna to the ice bath.
You could actually explain that, because I'm not very familiar with.
Yeah, but when you go to the colds, when your surface temperature gets cold, your vessels do like this, so they compress. When you then go to the heat, it does the opposite, so it decompresses. So when you transition from the hot to the cold back and forth, it's pumping. So it's like creating movement in the vessels and improving the blood flow. Yeah. So that's why it's called cardiovascular training, basically.
Okay. So it's going back and forward can actually kind of shake up the whole system,
Yeah, it's a pretty good idea. And that's also why you don't want to go to the cold after you have done a physical training, because then you compress your vessels and you decrease the blood flow, or you impair the blood flow.
Yeah, that sounds dangerous.
So you don't want to do that after training. it's not dangerous per se. It just inhibits your the stimuli occurred from the training. So you want to do it before the training because it can induce the dopamine receptors, adrenaline, testosterone. So that's a pretty good steroid to take just before training. But then after the training, it backfires and it impairs your recovery, right?
But basically, you want to do it every day.
If the cold?
Yeah. Right?
As soon as you wake up.
As soon as you wake up. The best thing is to basically do it every day, even though it requires fucking motivation, I would say, to do that. Because it's not like you wake up and that's the worst.
It is the worst time. Yeah. But I don't want to say motivation because that's just a shitty word, right? Yeah. I just want to say, just do it.
Yeah.
Just as with everything else, just fucking do it. It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal, and what's brutal is not the fact that you're down there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the thought process up till you get there.
Yeah.
From when you wake up, oh fuck, I have to go down there now.
Yeah.
That's the worst. It's not the 3 minutes that you're down there.
True. That's the same. But that's also like when I do this bucket thing, I put the ice cubes up and I'm like, when I put it up and I'm about to switch on, I'm fucking hell. But once it's there, you got to do it. You got to finish it.
And afterwards, the rewards, the dopamine spike, that's what we do it for.
Yeah, I mean, you can feel a difference. When you do that, I would say, to me, it's kind of like running. And I guess that also makes sense when you think of it as a cardiovascular thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you feel good right after. Like, okay, you're awake and everything. But then you can get a little bit of fatigue that you feel like, oh shit, like I can feel that now. Kind of like you're running. Like when you run, you feel great.
Before or after?
After an ice bath. Like you do it. Okay, let me explain it. If you do it, then you get that spike right after. And then after that, you're like, okay, I can, like, I'm a little bit, not low on energy. It's not like you're feeling sick, but you get a little bit lower. But then slowly it increases over like days.
Yeah, don't you think it's a matter of the nervous system that you get through so much stress when you do it, and then in the aftermath of it, you de-stress, so you calm down. Don't you think I think might be the reason why?
I think the reason why it's so helpful is because we never, in our modern life, we fucking never experience anything that's outside of our comfort zone.
No.
You wake up warm. You put on some clothes before you even get out of bed. You watch some fucking TikTok or whatever people do, or Instagram or something. Then you roll down, you get 2 cups of coffee and a nice big breakfast, and sit in your car, go to work, inside an office. You can barely walk from your car to the office. And, you know, when you live a life like that.
But people don't understand that's not comfort. It's comfort here and now.
Yeah.
But in the long term, that's discomfort.
Yeah.
But people don't understand that. They see here and now.
And I think that's why. Because if you took a caveman 100,000 years ago and you said, hey, how about you do an ice bath every morning? He would say, fuck you. Because there's no reason for this guy to do it. This guy will go out to his daily work and experience just that, the cold and everything. But we don't have that anymore.
No, exactly. And that's why we do it.
Yeah.
To get back to our roots.
Yeah.
That's like the shortcut in this modern dysfunctional society that we have to take.
Yeah, and I feel like that's literally the only thing you can use science for, because science is the reason that we got this comfortable, right? But then you also got to use science to say, okay, well, we're comfortable, but let's optimize the way that we can live. And I feel like it makes so much sense that cold exposure is beneficial, because what will you do? Like you just say, it makes something contract and then afterward it expands. So what is basically happening in my mind, how I see it, is it stirs up the pot. You know what I mean? Like it moves things.
Yeah.
And if things stay stagnant, what happens? They fucking rot or something, you know, when things stagnate, that's when it's not good, you know? Like,
I kind of see cold exposure as the same with physical training or fasting or whatever. You know, going through stress, going through discomfort to reach comfort. Yeah. Which is basically what dopamine does.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the reward system.
Yeah.
And when we see a large spike in dopamine, we also kind of see a large drop. That's what we experience from watching porn, social media, all this stuff where you get the immediate rewards, But in the aftermath, it drops
you can,
as quickly down to baseline again as it was before.
and you can feel it. That's the worst thing. You don't even have to read a research paper in order to understand that. Everyone that has ever watched any of those things, porn or social media, they know the moment you fucking turn that shit off, you feel like shit.
You feel like shit, and you feel even worse than before.
Yeah, and you feel like you're wasted the whole time.
When you do the discomfort, like running a marathon, like cold exposure, like fasting, you feel like shit now, but in hours or days after, you feel the elevation of dopamine keeps peaking, right? So it's a long-term comfort. But people don't understand that. They want here and now. I want to be warm and safe now, you know?
To me, it's such a paradox, because if you want to be safe and warm all the time, cool, yeah, I get the idea, so do I. But in order to be safe, there has to be something that you're safe from.
Yeah.
Meaning you already know there's something unsafe. So you're already in a mindset of you not being safe while you're trying to be safe. So the only thing that can happen is something from outside coming in and ruining you being safe, if you know what I mean. So why do we think like that? Why don't we think, wait, let me try to go some places where it's unsafe or uncomfortable, so I can learn that, because the world is not safe and stuff will happen that's outside of my knowledge or outside of my plan.
Well, it's pretty safe today.
It's safe, but still.
And that's why we have to seek discomfort. Like you say, seek something that can make us unsafe, because the world is pretty fucking safe.
True, the world is safe, but let's say Ukraine war develops, Russia, something happens, a fucking solar flare comes out, takes out all of our technology.
It depends on where you live, of course. Denmark is maybe the safest place on earth.
If you're 200 kilos and you don't know how to build anything, and you can only go down and buy a pizza and don't know how to cook, don't know how to... Who's the first one to go? The guy who was the safest before. I'm not saying I'm not a prepper or anything, like a doomsday prepper, but you have to keep it in mind that you gotta optimize your body in a way so that you can be safe when things are unsafe, and pushing yourself to the limits when you have the ability to be comfortable. Like when you're that lucky that you're comfortable, you gotta make yourself uncomfortable sometimes. Otherwise you become weak. Become fucking weak.
For sure.
We'll get back to the conversation in a moment, but first I need to tell you about our sponsors, Nordic Kings. Nordic Kings produce the highest quality of organic grass-fed beef organ supplements. I've used their products for years, which provides me with so many bioavailable micronutrients that I don't need to take any synthetic multivitamin pills. So if you, like me, don't like the taste of beef organs, or you just need to spike your vitamin and mineral levels, Nordic Kings is a reliable and high quality source. And that's exactly why we've chosen to partner up with Nordic Kings. So head over to their website, nordickings.se/en, where you can save 15% off your next order by using the code HOLISTIC15.
Speaking of doomsday prep, we have a trip next month, right?
Yes.
To the other end of the country. It's very interesting because it's a topic that interests me a lot, and you as well. And it's off-grid. And we finally found an expert, a real expert here in the area that we are going to meet up with physically and speak to here on the podcast.
Yeah, so I can tell a little bit of backstory, because I was up visiting this guy. So this guy is called Sten Møller, and this guy is his backstory is interesting. He used to be a farmer here in Denmark. So what he did was he took a big loan, he got the big machines, he got the house, he bought the piece of land. But what he realized is, wait, what's next? So he was in so much debt that he was always trying to keep up with that. He was working and working and working just to pay off his fucking bills. And at the same time, he was like, there's something wrong with society. Like, why do you live in houses that you can't afford? Why do you put yourself in a situation where you're always trying to fucking outrun a train that's trying to run you down? So what he basically did was he started doing off-grid projects.
And can you try to explain what off-grid is to people who don't know?
Off-grid is when you, when you build solutions or living situations, architecture.
Self-sustainable living, right?
Completely self-sustainable, that you don't have to be plugged into whatever, like energy companies that giving you electricity,
Water supply.
like sewages, and all these kind of things, because right now we are forced to do it. In order for you to buy a piece of land, in order for you to do anything, well, you got to sign that. Okay, then I'm gonna hook myself up to the energy. You can't have solar cells unless you pay back to the government, and all of these things. It's very weird because it's a very old-fashioned way of living. So what this guy did is that he started developing off-grid methods. How you get energy, how you build architecture. Another very interesting architecture way of doing it is something called earth ships. Maybe I should show you here.
Yeah, show me.
Because earth ships are a way of building architecture so that you can combine the environment with. Okay, you hook it up, and then you just press earth ship. Then I can tell about it in the meantime. So earth ship is a way where you combine the natural resources with architecture, so you don't have to think about sewages, you don't have to think about electricity, you don't have to think about heating your house, because what they do is they build one side of the house into the earth.
I think I have it here. It looks like...
Let me see it.
Looks like a house in Lord of Rings or something like that.
It does.
Something like this, right?
And the reason it does is because the people that done that is in New Mexico and the US, and these guys are pioneers, meaning these guys are building it from trash. So these guys are building it these guys are proper, like not hippies, but like they are building it from only reused materials.
So you don't buy anything. You use reused materials only.
Yeah, these guys do. And they combine it with fucking brilliant architecture. So what they do is they take... I'll just try to do like the quick run through. So what they do is they in one side of the house, they put earth, or like that's why it's called earth ship, because it's in the ground. They put soil or earth or whatever the nature provides there on one side, because that's gonna provide
keep the heat.
Isolation. That's gonna keep the heat, right, in the wintertime. On the front side of the house and the other side of the house, which is facing south, they have an angled greenhouse, which picks up the sun rays and heats.
So there's windows there.
So they use the greenhouse. Yeah, there's windows. So they use the greenhouse effect to heat that area up. And because there's a buffer between that and the living zone, you can regulate between the earth in the back of the house and the greenhouse in front of the house. The living is in the middle, where you, in the summertime when it's super hot, you have ventilation coming from underneath, where you open up, it circulates the air and goes out to the greenhouse. That's in the wintertime. Summertime. In the wintertime, you close off the ventilation and you use the heat from the greenhouse to heat up there and the isolation. And in the meantime, you have the whole greenhouse, which is in front of the house. You have plants. You can eat. You have potatoes, tomatoes,
and they oxyganize the air inside the house, so they clean the air as well.
And it cleans the water, because what happens next is they build their own sewage. So it's a modern living. People think I'm, like you said, it looks like something out of Lord of the Rings or whatever the fuck it's called, but it's not. It's actually, once you get like this multiple YouTube tours of these houses, it's 5-star living. It's not shit. Like when you go inside, it's modern. You can build it however you want. Yeah. And some of these houses are fucking brilliant. But anyway, what they do with the sewage is they have something called the gray water, which is all the stuff you wash your hands with, you wash your dishes with, and everything that's basically not shit or piss, like not from like direct sewage. That goes out in front of the greenhouse.
So the clean water.
Yeah, the gray water, the stuff you use to clean like easy, like
hands and dishes and all this stuff. Yeah,
shower, stuff like that, stuff that's not completely dirty, goes from it's piped down, so it goes into the front of the greenhouse, and then the roots of the plants clean up the gray water. They take all the minerals and all the stuff that's dirty to us, cleans it up. It comes back up to the toilet, where you just use it to the toilet to flush out like the bad stuff that then goes into the garden, underneath the garden for all the plants that you don't need, right?
Yeah.
So in that way, it has a complete sewage system, and all the water in the house is collected in rainwater. And you could build this house in fucking Canada, you can build it in New Mexico.
But I'm just skeptical because does it really work in practical terms? Is it even possible? Would the governments allow it? Because we have tried the best we could home here, and we just have limits. We just have limits. Even with solar power, you cannot live 100% self-sustainable energy-wise with solar power because you have to sell it back to the government.
Yeah, and that's what this guy we're gonna meet is gonna talk about also.
So that's a project. It's not something that he's
done multiple projects. This guy, and I listened to him, and this guy is very smart. So this is why we contacted him, because I was like, okay, this guy sounds interesting. I really want to meet him, because it's two facets. One is the earth, the off-grid part, which is, to me, architecture-wise, going off-grid is the same thing as going from landlines to internet, in my opinion. Because if you think about it, like if you just look at it from an objective point of view, not from a political point of view, because that's what you said. Like, realistically, is it going to happen? Probably not. But that's a political problem, not a technical problem. If you look at it, right now we have huge energy companies that would distribute energy out to houses. What happens if anything happens to one of those energy companies, one of those water companies?
Everyone's fucked.
Everyone's fucked, right? What happened? Why did we invent the internet? Because of the router system, so that when one computer goes down, you still have everyone else up and running. It's not going to affect the rest, right? But that was really happened from landlines to internet is that if you take down one phone line, the whole fucking country is out, right? And it's the same with this architecture. If Russia was to shoot down energy things, the whole city's out, everything's out. But if you build it off grid, then your neighbor can be hit by a storm, but his neighbors is still up and running.
So it's not only self-sustainable, it's like community-wise sustainable.
Community-wise, it would be an upgrade like never before.
Country-wise.
Architecture-wise, it's like, how have we not done this yet? And when I realized the architecture was already there, I'm like, this is mind-blowing.
But isn't the barrier just as with everything else? Money. Don't you think so?
It is.
Because we have the companies who live off of our energy bills. And we have seen that in the COVID crisis, in the energy crisis that were in the aftermath of the COVID. You know how they came out with, they earned so much money of us getting butt fucked with the energy bills. Makes no sense.
And that's also the whole thing is a political thing, because we listen, like for instance, I don't vote. I was just talking to Jeppe and we have fuck voting. Why would I vote for a system that is flawed, that is not working? Like, you just vote for another person that is going to go up and act like they care about your opinion, or act like they care about it. They're not. If they would, these things would be implemented. And they don't have any power. What they do, the politicians, is they go up and they act like they care for the better of the country, but in reality they say, oh, it's so dangerous, stay at home, don't do this stuff, so that the energy prices can go up and they can manipulate these prices, and we just take it like we think it's real. All the people, they're like, oh yeah, but the neighbor is also paying that amount, right? It's such a big scam.
The question is if it's even changeable, if it's even changeable, that comes in a person or a president with good intentions. Do you think that they are able to change anything? No. Or do you think that the system is so fucked that even a person with power can change something?
Well,
have you seen Robert F. Kennedy, the potentially upcoming president of the United States? No. John F. Kennedy's nephew, I think. Okay. I think he is right now the closest we get to someone who's aligned with our way of thinking.
Okay.
Maybe too extreme to the conspiracy things. I don't know. It depends on how you look at it, but you have to check him out.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that.
You know, with clean water, with self-sustainable solutions, with no pharmaceuticals, no pesticide use, and He's a big opposition to the vaccine industry, the whole pharmaceutical industry in general. So he's very exciting. But my only thought is, even if he becomes president, will it change anything?
Yeah.
Or who is in charge?
Yeah.
Who's got the power?
That's also what I'm thinking, because as soon as I hear that name, I'm like, yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah.
But everyone is also aligned with the fact that nothing is never gonna change. So if he doesn't do any of the things he says, people are gonna be like, okay, whatever. We expected that. No one expects change. No one expects things. And I was actually talking to Jeppe about China.
We'll get back to the conversation in a moment, but first I need to tell you about our sponsor, Functional Self. Functional Self isn't just another health store. It's a lifestyle. They offer a carefully curated range of biohacking tools, supplements, and functional foods that are scientifically proven to elevate your well-being. I've used them for many years now in everything from the MagTech Magnesium to the Rosita cod liver oil. And guess what? They ship all over the Europe, UK, Australia, and New Zealand. And that's why we have chosen to partner up with Functional Self. So if you're serious about taking your health to the next level, check out the full range at functionalself.com and use the code HOLISTIC10 to save 10% off your first order.
I think that China has a way of controlling a way of governing the country that is far superior to ours.
Yeah.
Far better than ours. You see, if you just look at it.
So it's positive.
Positive in many ways, also negative in some ways, of course. Nothing is perfect. But in terms of governing a country and being efficient, they are light years ahead of us. Because what we do is every 4 years, every 8 years, we get a new dude saying exactly the opposite of what the other dude just said, because we got tired of him. So it's so inefficient. We always work against each other, so nothing ever gets done, right? And at the same time, we have companies for profit that's trying to do monopoly in the markets. That's their goal. Even though it's illegal, that's still their goal. So that's how you get all these massive industries, and no one can really regulate them, because once they get a hold of the market is fucked. The people are fucked. They're in Facebook's control. They're in tech industry's control. But what they do in China is that they combine the government, which is a long-term government, and the industry, so that the government is able to make 50-year investments, not 5-year investments like Google will make. Like, oh, we're trying to develop this because it's going to bring us a profit in 2025 or 2030. China don't give a shit about that. China is building railroads all the way down into Afghanistan, all the way to Europe, all the way down to the east coast of Africa, actually making deals with people that's gonna be a win-win situations for African countries in 20, 30 years. While we're doing what? We're arguing over fucking the most like basic things, and we still think we're on top of the world. You know, to me, what China has, there's also many things that's not perfect in China, like I said before, but the governing style is above ours for sure.
Yeah, and you have some inside knowledge because you've been living there for like 7 years or something. Yeah. But I can only see what I hear from the outside. I have a view of China being like I don't want to say negatively controlled, but that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean,
what about all these theories about have you seen Black Mirror?
Yeah.
Have you seen the episode with the rating, the social score system? I heard that's been implemented in China some years ago. Is that true?
They do it, but to be honest, like I was there, I don't see it at all.
So it's not as extreme as in the Black Mirror episode.
No, not at all. But what I want to say is this. There's no doubt that China has a way more centralized way of doing things. Like Jack Cruz would not agree, for sure. But it works in China because people don't have, of course they have an opinion about what a good life is, but they don't have an opinion about who should lead the country. So naturally they go about their own life and they don't argue about small shit like we do. Oh, the farmers or the fucking nurses should have more salary. Why the fuck are we discussing that on a daily basis? It should just be something that's there, you know? It should just be something that should not be in in our negative periphery every fucking day. In China, you don't have that. That's a good thing, I feel like. But so in China, you have WeChat.
WeChat.
Yeah.
That's like the WhatsApp of China, right?
Yeah, but WhatsApp is an understatement of what this is, because this is far more central to just Chinese life in general. Everything goes on there. Your work goes on there. Your family goes on there. Your kids' school goes on there. You pay money there. You get paid there. You order your car there. You have groups there. You have it's WeChat is like a hyper developed thing that we have that is purely for function.
Yeah, but what is this? Isn't it just a chat system?
It was a chat system, right? But it's a chat system that's not open, like for instance something like LinkedIn or Facebook or something. So it's not like I go in and I search, like I can see your stuff without me and you knowing each other.
Yeah, but that's kind of the same as WhatsApp.
Except WhatsApp, you can't pay. You can't really. It's not integrated in the same way as WeChat is. WeChat is, so everything goes on there, right? And basically it also is a bank, I guess, because people don't use cash anymore or cards in China. They only use their phone to pay. If you go out without your phone in China, you're fucked. You can't. So.
But is that a positive thing?
It's not.
To have everything as centralized?
Like, to me personally, I don't like it.
Yeah. Because I'm also very worried about that. And I don't have all this Apple Pay and all this integrated shit because,
Yeah.
It ends with a chip.
Yeah.
In your wrist.
And that's one of the reasons I also left, because that's the negative side. But I mean, it's efficient, it works, and it makes people's lives easier. But it also makes them more susceptible for being manipulated, controlled. Yeah. So it's more efficient than our system for sure. But it's also, it's a difficult topic because I don't think you can say it's either positive or negative. It's positive in so many ways that they don't start wars. They make deals.
For sure. I agree.
Like that's what it's good about it. And
we should get used to it because they're coming. They're coming. Power-wise.
Oh.
They have a lot of power.
Oh, people don't even know.
Yeah, people don't even know.
Because they make, like, for instance, if you talk about the pharmaceutical or you talk about infrastructure or, like, all of our technology here comes from China. All of our 5G is from China. All of that shit is from China. Everything we have, all these cameras, everything here produced.
Yeah, everything is from China.
Everything. They know how to do everything.
Was it you that told me something about the rice farms in China, something they prepared for food shortage?
Yeah. Well, there's something I heard. It's not something I've seen.
Because you told me, and I heard it again afterwards, and then some days after I read about it.
Yeah.
And then I heard some other rumors about we should prepare for food shortages now, and that's the next collapse and blah, blah, blah.
But that's a classical thing in China. The government wants to make a change. They just say, okay, and from now on, everyone that's doing this, you're not doing that anymore. Now you're doing rice. Because they can see, okay, with this whole crisis, what happens if something happens with Taiwan? What's going to happen then? They know that if a war breaks out with Taiwan, the next thing that's going to happen is that if the same sanctions come to China as they did with Russia, the supply chain in China is going to be fucked.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's going to be fucked is stuff like the stuff you use for farming. What is it called? Like when you the stuff you gudning. Fertilizer, stuff like that. They can make it in China, but if they have shortages of stuff that's supposed to go into the supply chain, that can fuck them over. So they're trying to make changes at that point for that. I haven't checked up on that for a long time. I don't know if it's still going on, but I imagine it is because they want to be more self-sufficient in China, as a country, because they know that the US and Europe and everyone is trying to hold them back and everything, So there's a big power thing going on right now, I feel like.
By the way, how about your experiments? You never told me about that.
Which ones?
Where the doctor wouldn't allow you to take a testosterone test.
Ah, that shit, yeah.
Did you end it because you became sick, right?
Yeah.
So you lived like
I lived like a hobo.
Dog.
Yeah, I lived like a dog for
For how long was it?
For a month. I lived like
A normal guy.
that's what I wanted to
But that's like a dog. You know?
eat candy, eat
Drink alcohol regularly.
just do
Did
things.
you smoke?
No.
Not cigarettes.
No, I don't remember actually, but I just remembered after a week or two of this shit, I was feeling like shit.
So you didn't think about what you ate and you were drinking alcohol and
And I was like
sleeping like shit.
not thinking about how much I was sleeping and when I was sleeping, and then I became sick. So I was basically just trying out a thing where I went away from a routine of doing ice bath and working out. It didn't work out as
What about the vegan thing? Did you keep that going?
Yeah, I kept that. I'm never gonna stop that. But I was basically just going away from all the healthy biohacks, the life hacks that we do. You know, like the cold shower, the steam bath, the grounding, and working out. I went away from that for a month. Traveled a little bit, good food.
But the story was that you got your blood values tested before, right? Or
I got them tested. I got the results already now. I haven't Googled them yet. I will Google them.
So you tested before, then you went on this...
No, I didn't test before. I tested after 1 month where I didn't.
After 1 month.
And then I'm gonna do a couple months where I'm gonna go full on.
And then you have to compare results.
I test them again and I Google and I see what the difference is. So it's ongoing. And at the end of that fucking period, I became sick. First the flu, and then my eye, which is still not good. I gotta,
Yeah, I saw your eye was red this morning.
Yeah.
Was it the same?
This one, something happened, and then I got food poisoning. So my immune system must have been fucking...
But that's obvious. That's obvious, right?
Yeah.
But again, of course, we don't have anything to compare with now, so it's just...
We're gonna keep it We're gonna keep it ongoing, and...
But I'm sad that you didn't get the testosterone test.
Yeah, me too.
Because we thought about that. I got it tested. I was at the doctor to get my blood values, get my testosterone, all that stuff. But that was for another case. I just wanted to be tested.
Yeah. What did they say?
Which is kind of relevant because I used to pay like, 2,000 euros for this full pallet test, which is an insane amount of money that not many people want to pay for.
Yeah, I don't.
So exactly. So I was just thinking maybe the doctor can do that. So I just called the doctor and said, hey, I'm not feeling well. I don't have any energy. I sleep poorly and I just feel that something is wrong. Can you test my testosterone?
Yeah.
Because I know that a lack of energy and a lack of motivation could be linked to low testosterone.
Yeah.
She's just, yeah, for sure. Just come up and we can test your blood values as well to see if anything's wrong. And I was like, oh, was it that easy?
Really?
So I just went up to the doctor the day after and she took all the tests.
What did it say though? What was the results?
Good blood values. Everything was within the normal values.
Expected that too, right?
I expected that because I haven't been doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
And my testosterone was high as well. But I wanted to do that because I take some supplements right now.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for me to know whether the supplements are working, I need to test my blood values. Sure. And that was why I wanted to test my testosterone. So now I'm, at that time I was off the supplements and I got my testosterone tested. Now I'm on the supplements and in a few weeks I will get my testosterone tested again. Okay. So I have to see an increase in my testosterone to know whether these supplements are working.
And yeah, it's an interesting thing. And I think it's also about the testosterone level, right?
Yeah.
Is it good to always have it high, or do you need to spike it in periods where you're trying to do specific things, like if you're trying to peak performance or you're trying to get kids? I don't know. Like, what's the?
You can spike it. For example, with cold exposure. For example, with
that's a natural way, right?
During the summer, yeah. That's the natural way. During the summer, where you get a lot of sunlight, when you do a physical training, something like that, then you spike your testosterone. I don't know with how much, but I could imagine that it's not that much.
There's also something if you don't masturbate, if you don't jerk off then it spikes.
Yeah, there's been a few studies on that. The only study that I know of is with a control group of 7 people and
Just jerking off.
and a secondary group of 2 people. So I believe it was 14 people in total, and they found that the group that didn't jerk off had a higher testosterone level. So of course it's a very small study, but it confirmed the fact that when you don't jerk off, your testosterone increases. So that can be correlated to what you said, that when you jerk off, your testosterone level will be lower. But if you hold it back for a certain period of time, then it will increase.
Yeah, I think it's a super interesting subject, because if you really think about what sperm is or what semen is, it's the most valuable thing that the body can fucking produce.
Yeah, if you want to have kids, yeah.
Yeah, but also in terms of like the priority in your body, right? So you eat food. I've heard, and this might be, I don't remember the source, so don't.
Yeah.
I heard that you gotta eat 30 kilos of food in order to produce 1 load. And what happens is that 30 in average, and that's why it's so bad that you do it all the time, because what happens is food becomes blood. Blood becomes, I think it's, was it a lymphatic system, the stuff that's in your lymphatic system.
Yeah,
And then,
that's the liquids.
yeah, liquids, and then it becomes bone marrow, and after that, it becomes sperm. So the most important thing...
So food becomes sperm.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff you take in becomes, that makes up your body.
The nutrients.
Yeah, and what I heard is that what the body prioritizes the highest is the sperm, because that's what you reproduce with. So if you do it too much, it makes sense that it would deplete your
I don't have any background info on
Would that be an
that,
interesting
but-
thing for... but yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting theory.
But there's also all these Jack Huberman, and that they're talking about it all the time. I feel like that's... Or maybe that's just the shit that pops up on my YouTube. I don't know.
Which one?
Jack Huberman talking about masturbation.
Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
Yeah. He talked about that?
Dopamine levels, or was it porn? I don't know if he would...
Yeah, porn and dopamine, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense, like we just talked about.
Oh, yeah, that's another part of it, because I mean, yeah. That's insane that's legal, I feel like.
Who was it that talked about having sex without ejaculating and going all in, never masturbating? Or was it Okay, no names. No names. But he talked about that, right?
Yeah.
Never masturbating, having sex, stop before ejaculating. Sounded horrible.
But fuck. That doesn't sound like a way to go. No. But he actually wrote that in a book.
He read that book. Was that I Ching? Was that I Ching?
I Ching.
Oh, so it's kind of the same.
It was like something, I actually bought the book, but I haven't read it yet. But it's something like how to harness
sexual energy.
Male sexual energy.
Yeah.
And it's about how
And it made sense, a lot of it.
It does, because like, again, back to the being comfortable but being uncomfortable. You know, you can't just indulge in everything that makes you feel good right now, because your dopamine level afterwards is gonna...
But I think this is about... Yeah, but I also think this is about energies and the chakras and all that stuff. All this measurable stuff that we can't talk about in Western science. But of course we will talk about it either way. But but I think there's a correspondence to that and the sexual energy, that you deplete yourself of this energy every time you jerk off.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to retain this.
Yeah. Yeah, true. There's a spiritual like thing, and I think there's also a physiological thing, and then there's also like just the basic chemistry in your brain that.
Yeah, like the dopamine receptors and.
Yeah, the chakra system is very interesting.
We need an expert on the podcast on the chakra system.
Well, hopefully Teresa Bullitt is gonna say.
Yeah, she knows something about that.
Oh yeah. Oh shit.
We had Jim McCarty on, but that was not the...
channeling. So which one so far has been your favorite one?
It's difficult. I like the Jack Cruz because my brain just stood off.
Yeah.
You know, he just talks so much that I didn't know about, which is kind of inspiring to me, because I have to listen to that episode like 3 or 4 times to register what he said.
Yeah.
So that's nice, but that was also kind of it was a tough one.
Yeah.
But the Jim McCarty one, because we've been following him for so many years, if it's true what he's been doing, which I believe, because he is so trustworthy. We asked him the question, are you a bullshitter? Basically. And he said, if this is not real, then someone really fooled me.
Yeah. Because he's been fucking into this for what, 60 years?
Yeah, exactly. And it just aligns so much with everything else I've been learning from religion, spirituality, ancient teachings.
Yeah.
So, but what about you? What is your favorite episode?
I actually think it was Hoffman.
That was a nice one as well. The Iceman.
He did the Iceman, but I really, really admire that he's going public with saying that he's gonna go on the Danish national team and score a goal in 2026.
And he's 33 now. That requires some fucking nuts.
Same thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
If that shit comes true, then...
And he's just all in.
Yeah.
He's all in.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a girlfriend. He say goodbye family. He goes down to Brazil right now all by himself with the sole goal of becoming a professional football player.
Just on a fucking gut feeling.
On a gut feeling.
Like he's like, okay, let me go to Brazil just because I feel like this is where I'm going to be learning the stuff I need to be able to score a fucking goal for the Danish national team.
In 2 years. Oh, 3 years.
3 years. And for the people that don't understand that, so there's one person that plays in the Danish league that's in the national team. One fucking person. And had that person ever scored?
No, I don't think so. And I don't even know who that person is. No.
Definitely not at a fucking World Cup. And those guys get how many thousand euros every month? They go professional. They go all out. Yeah. It's not like they don't try.
No.
So for me, that's the most insane thing I've heard. But I respect it and I believe in it.
I believe in it. And I don't really care if he makes it or not. Yeah. It's just the intention and the ability to set a goal and go after it 100%. Mm-hmm. That's inspiring. Yeah. And people could learn so much from that.
True.
And people just ridiculing him.
Are they?
For sure they are. Some, of course some are and some are good people, but when people hear something, say a goal that sounds unrealistic, they're just like, who the fuck are you? Yeah. Especially here in Denmark.
Oh yeah.
Especially here in Denmark. So yeah, for sure. He is inspiring and I'm looking forward to hear that episode.
Just to change the subject though.
Back to the I Ching?
Grounding.
Grounding.
I want to hear about, because we've been talking about grounding before. We talked about it in Danish, but I feel like we need to talk about this in English.
Yeah.
The grounding. And we can start about you explaining the benefits of grounding for the people.
Well, this episode will air after Jack Cruise, right? I think so. So I think if you listen to that episode, you'll already know.
Yeah.
Basically.
But still, he's more like sunlight and the government.
And fuck everything. Yeah, he's very angry.
Yeah, but it's good because passion.
Sure, it's good.
That means passion.
He's fucking nice.
I think that's the yogic system that says passion and angry is two sides of the same coin. So if you're angry at something, it means actually you have passion about something. So you just need to change your way of seeing things. So he has passion, which is good.
But what is grounding? Yeah, what is grounding? Grounding is the Earth has an electrical charge, which is negative at the surface level. Yeah, means that it's abundant in electrons, and these electrons can be transferred into the human body, which kind of acts as antioxidants. So it reduces inflammation. So when we are barefooted on Earth's surface, could be grass, could be sand, could be whatever, just not concrete and wooden floors and artificial insulation.
Yeah, so rubber soles like sneakers and shit, they're worse.
So when we are in direct contact with Earth, we are able to receive these electrons into our bodies, which kind of heal our bodies. Yeah. This means that when we touch the ground, we are at 0 voltages. When we don't touch the ground or when we have shoes on, we have this electrical charge of I don't know, 1, 2, 300 voltages.
Yeah.
And so it means that we're stabilized, right? We're in balance.
Electrically. Yeah. And I think that's what people misunderstand. Whenever people I had a friend I was seeing the other day, and he's like, oh yeah, this is the guy told you about, that's grounding. And people thought it was some woo-woo shit.
Yeah.
That is some spiritual shit.
But it sounds like woo-woo.
Yeah, it does with the word, I guess, but it has nothing to do with it. It's a very, very fucking straightforward, technically term. What happens is you get up antioxidants in your body through the ground, up through your meridian points under the foot, which connects with the earth, just like a fucking TV. Yeah. So this is the thing we're talking about also in Danish, which is super interesting. This whole idea, this whole concept was developed by a dude called, what the fuck was his name?
Ober? Clinton Ober, who was the guy who invented the modem for computers, I think. And what he was educated as, or what he was doing, he was grounding telephone poles, TVs, stuff like that. And that's where grounding comes from. That's when he realized, wait, if this works for a TV and a TV gets a better signal from letting it have a ground outflow, what happens to people? And he started measuring it on himself, and he started grounding his bed when he was sleeping, and he found out, holy shit, this is really... something is happening inside the human body. Yeah. So he was the guy that invented this, and it's basically just an exchange of positive and negative ions in between you and the ground. Because what happens is with all these frequencies and all of these EMFs, rays and EMFs and all this shit that's in the air and it's through your phone. Like if you're walking around with rubber soles on the floor, there has no outlet. Your signal is going to be fucked up. But if you let it out by grounding, you're going to, in some way or the other, reboot yourself. You're just going to stabilize yourself from all this radiation, this fucked up radiation there is everywhere that we are so ignorant to. We just think, just pump it out, just give people better signal. Fuck 4G, we need 5G, tomorrow 6G. Yeah. Relax. And let's actually do some long-term studies in the human body first. Yeah. But like you say, it's just with electricity. We ground electricity to stabilize it, to make it more safe. That's the same we do with the human body, to stabilize the human body. Yeah. We need to be in contact with Earth. Yeah, I mean, it could be one of the reasons why people are so stressed. And if people, I feel like the best argument for the fact that it's not woo-woo is that Brian Johnson does it. No, he does. When that guy does it, you know that shit is scientific. Is that part of his blueprint protocol? Part of his blueprint. So that's super interesting. And you can make those things at home. This is what we also talked about. I've been making some appliances at home for grounding. Yeah. Buy stuff that's conductive. Buy material that's conductive. Fucking go out and make a hole in a copper rod and put it into the ground. Pull a string with made from copper all the way up through the window. Put a little conductive piece of fabric on your bed or wherever you sleep. Boom, there you go. It's super simple. Less than what? $20, then you have a grounding equipment at home. Of course, you need to look if it's grounding or not, but I mean, it's so easy to do it. And I feel like wintertime, that's something people, especially in Scandinavia, should do, because that's exactly what Jack Kruse said. Gotta live with nature here, otherwise you're fucked. And he said that we have to compensate for the lack of grounding during the winter months. Yeah. And let's be honest, okay, we can walk barefooted in the winter months. I would do that. But 5-10 minutes maximum, otherwise you'll get frostbite. And I don't think 5 or 10 minutes is enough to induce the grounding effect. And I also believe I've read some studies saying at least a few hours per day. And you can't go in the snow barefooted for a few hours per day without getting frostbite. So you need... Wim Hof did, but but he's another level. He's an alien, yeah. So you have to have some alternative methods. Yeah. Jack Kruse says just get enough sunlight, just do cold exposure sauna to compensate for the lack of grounding you can do. or for the lack of sunlight for that sake during the winter months. But again, you can do the equipment yourself. Yeah, I've made this grounding mat, and instead of connecting it to the earth, it's actually just connected to the electricity, because my electricity is grounded. So when I put it in the contact or
in a normal outlet,
then you're already connected to the electricity, which is grounded. So you get grounded. But Jack Kruse actually told, or I don't know if he told or if I read it on his Instagram sometimes, but he said that the most conductive place on earth is in wet sand. Because what does our feet do? They sweat. So we have sweat glands under the feet. Water is conductive. So when you get your sweat glands in the water on the beach close to the earth core, then you're inducing the most grounding potential there.
But also just when you've been in the ocean and you've been swimming around in salt water, then when you come up after that,
You feel it.
you just feel different. You just feel different when you come up. Like I was in Napoli, like and we were in the beach a couple of days in a row, and it's just different, you know. Like you come up and you're like, now you can feel like when you know that what grounding is, you're like, oh, this is what it is. But when you don't realize, okay, what grounding is, it's not. You still feel good, but you just don't really notice it. You know what I mean?
I
Like
also feel it's a combination of being in nature.
Yeah.
I think you're grounded as well by just being in nature, because you can absorb the negative ions as well, even if you're not barefooted on the ground. They are also abundant in nature. So I just think that just this concept of being in nature, you get this feeling of peace and of balance, and that's what you tell about right now with the swimming on the beach.
Yeah.
And we're so disconnected.
You feel perfect. You feel like the opposite of being stressed. The opposite, the complete opposite. There's nothing. If you go down to the beach and you go in the water and you come up, don't tell me you feel stressed. I don't think anyone is going to feel stressed.
I could feel it the other day. I was on vacation for these 2 weeks ago, and I don't feel stressed. But as soon as we got to the destination, I was just like, okay.
Yeah, now it's different.
I have been fucking stressed because this is so peaceful. Opening the door every morning, seeing the sunrise, jump down to the pool. I just need my coffee. I can just sit here and watch the sunrise. I don't need to do anything else. There's nothing. And then I get home again. I'm like, fuck, man. I love my job, but this is not life. This is not life.
But it's also insane because we tell ourselves, and many people do, and I guess we also do it. I think this is the most difficult thing. We tell ourselves, okay, you gotta make money, you gotta do this, you gotta become rich. Not that my biggest goal is to become rich, but still.
But you need money, and that's the problem.
And the thing is that you wanna make money because you wanna be free. But then first define what is freedom. And to me, of course, you can go down there. But what you're really is missing is, of course, being in nature. But you could do that right here. You could go to the woods every day and you would feel the same.
You don't need money. You don't need anything.
You could do it right now.
Yeah.
You could, because when I define freedom to me, it is sleeping 8 hours, so I feel good. It's cooking my own food. I love that. It's going into nature. It's doing some exercise that I like. Wait, what's stopping me from doing those things now? I don't need $1 million to do that.
Sure.
You know?
But it depends on our needs. What are our needs?
Yeah.
Does it require money? Does it require finances? Maybe. If it does, well, then you're fucked. Because then you need to earn money. Then you need to work. And the more needs you have, the more work, the more money you need to get.
Yeah.
You know, so it depends. And I also think it's difficult with the system that we live in.
Yeah.
As we're getting more and more materialistic. And I can feel it on myself, you know, when I've gotten something, okay, then I want it bigger.
Yeah.
More expensive.
Yeah.
Bigger. Mm-hmm. So I can kind of see the perspective of rich people. I'm not rich, but I can see the perspective of rich people why they want more and more and more.
Yeah.
They have everything they need, but they can get a car more.
It's also a false. It's like Christmas. You get a Christmas gift, or when you were not now, but when you were little, you get a Christmas gift and you're like, fucking hell, this is perfect. Oh, I got 50 gifts or I got 10 gifts and it's all perfect. 2 days later, you don't care about shit. But it's the idea that, you know, like, it's instead of enjoying now, we tend to enjoy the things that we'll get later, and then we stress about it. Okay, you got a car. Well, you gotta get 2 cars or a bigger car, or you got a house, or you got a TV, but it's not big enough. You know, and it's always, people forget to live in the now.
I think our problem is always the anticipation of what is coming. What is coming? What can I get? What can I get is more interesting than what do I have. We tend to forget what do I have now. When I bought this sauna, it was the most amazing thing I had. I went out here every night. Now I just have it. Now it's just a sauna. Now I'm thinking about, can I get it bigger? You know, it's too small. We'd barely sit in here. You know. So it's always about the anticipation of what can I get next. That's more important than what do I have.
Yeah.
So we can solve a lot of problems by enjoying what we have.
And I think that's a good point. I think that's also one of the reasons I enjoy building things, because I realize that. So for instance, if I think of a sauna, I'm also thinking about the fun it will be to build it, being in the now, building it. And I know that that's, when it's done, it's done. I'm going to use it sometimes and I'm not going to use it sometimes. But I know that the process of building it, that's what's going to be the real fun for me. And seeing it work afterwards, that's going to be the real joy instead of having it. Do you know what I mean?
Create some magic around it.
I think that's my mentality to it. But I'm saying, I also, of course, there's also something you can't build that you got to get. But yeah, it's an interesting concept, I feel like.
For sure, and I can see what you mean, that it provides more value when you have participating in the creation of it. Yeah,
because you're in the process. You also build stuff.
I also build stuff, and
you can see it.
I can feel that the value of it remains high over time when you've built it.
Yeah.
In contrast to when you just buy it. Yeah. It has no soul.
And also, you know how it was built, so you know how to make it better. You know what you can do better next time. It's not that you're going to buy something bigger, it's because you're going to make something better. I like that idea more. I'm like, I made that mistake before, and let me try to fix it. Let me try to do something better. And I feel like that mentality is more given than doing something that you don't like to get money to buy something that you can't build. Why not do something you like and make something that you can make, instead of doing something you don't like and buying something you don't know how to do or make.
But that's the mentality today, that we lose our abilities to create because we just want to buy.
We use a phone that we don't even know half the shit that's inside of the phone. We don't even know how.
But isn't that just a part of evolution? Isn't that where we're heading? We're becoming less and less physically capable and more mental. Like when you see the aliens, some aliens, I'm sure that there exists a lot of variants, so to speak. But if you see the classic aliens, tiny little body, only have 3 fingers. They don't need the thumbs, to build and construct. Only have the 3 fingers. Tiny body and a large head, probably with a large brain. Isn't that just where we're heading in like 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 years? But
that's also the whole theory with these aliens. One of the main theories right now with the UFO thing is that it's actually, and this is not, again, this is something that the mainstream is picking up, because what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
One of the mainstream theories is that the UFOs that we see are us from the future coming back to guide us.
I heard that, yeah.
And that, if you said that 20 years ago, you wouldn't have a job.
No.
But now it's becoming one of the main theories, because what the fuck is it? I mean, I think...
But there are so many theories. Of course it could be. but it could be 1,000 other things as well. Right?
Which one do you think?
Well, I'm not sure. I think that the highest probability is that it's life from outer space coming to check up on us. You want to see something?
No, let's keep.
Is it working?
Yeah, I just wanted to check.
Yeah. So I think that that's the highest probability. That it's just people from outer space checking up on us to see if we don't fuck up our galaxy or our solar system, which we could do with nuclear weapons, or maybe someone created us who wants to see how it's going. I think that's also a theory.
To me, that's the most probable thing.
That's the Sumerian theory, right? That we were geo-engineered?
Yeah.
Or not geo-engineered. What is it called? Just like engineered, that we were sort of a combination of the monkey and an alien species that became the humans.
Yeah. So that's the Enki and Enlil theory.
Yeah.
I think, to me, that's the most probable thing, because
Why is it more probable than just aliens visiting us?
Because when I look at the universe, when I look at Earth, we have a sun, and then we have 8 planets going around it in a clock fucking work. And then you have a moon that doesn't rotate around one of the ones, the only one that has life, right? And now you have UFO showing up that's been showing up throughout our whole history. It's engraved in the pyramids. It's not the last 50 years. No. There are UFOs engraved in the fucking hieroglyphs in the pyramid. Yeah. There are UFOs on paintings from famous painters. There has been, like, whole religion, I believe, is something that's made up of these things. Why? I think it was created, and I think it's a system, because when I look at it, it's too perfect. It's too perfect to have happened naturally. I don't think the moon is natural, because how the hell is the moon natural when it's the exact size from our point of view to cover the sun one time every specific amount of years? It doesn't rotate. It's older than the Earth. Yeah. We don't know what's on the fucking back. We don't know half the shit. And it controls everything that we have on Earth that's alive. Girls' menstruations, the moon. The seas rise and fall, the moon. What did we talk about before? In order to have life, in order to have a healthy body, you need to stir shit up. You need cold, you need hot. These things is what the universe and the moons and the gravity controls.
But how does that fit into the theory that we were engineered?
Well, I believe that shit was put there in order to spike life, in order to stir up the pot so that there was life in some way. And I believe that the reason they're coming now and they're all over the war sites and they're all over the nuclear sites, the UFOs, that is because they're like, wait, that's not following the plan. That was not a part of the plan.
But I'm also like, when I look at humans are so astonishing, and we don't even know our potential. Mm-hmm. We evolve so fast. We're creative. We are able to create so much. We are so different from all other species. Yeah. And don't forget the fact that these 200 or 300 years ago, we changed rapidly like this.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's a reason it's called the missing link.
And have we ever seen any species evolve in the same rates that allegedly happens from monkey to humans? You know, that doesn't make sense, that you can go from an animal to the human state. To me, at least, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, also to me, I always thought like, wait, when I was little, I always think like, wait, so the humans evolved from monkeys, from the chimpanzee or whatever. Why the fuck is there still chimpanzees then?
Yeah.
If we evolved from them, wouldn't we have fucking outcompeted them a long time ago? Why the fuck are they still here? I mean, you don't see...
You can compare. You can compare with the Neanderthals as well. How did it go with them? Yeah. Not fucking good. I think they barely made it to Europe. We've traveled all over the world. Yeah. So there's something special about the human race, and
there's missing links popping up as well now. Göbekli Tepe, for instance. Mm-hmm. Like if that shit is real.
That is real. I mean, that is very real.
It stretches our history thousands and thousands and thousands of years, because that shit was constructed at the end of the last ice age. And by that time in our history, we are hunters and gatherers. And we are not able to lift 50-ton stones and make weird constructions that we don't even know right now why the fuck they were built, and carve animals into stone with what tools? Like literally with what tool? We didn't have shit back then.
No.
We had nothing. The wheel was invented, 2,000 years ago? It was invented after the pyramids were done. Yeah. Think about how fucked up our history is. And I think that
we know nothing.
We do not
know nothing.
Anything about why we're here or what has happened. And there is no questions about the fact that governments, especially the US government, is keeping these things a secret to the public, because that shit is just coming up now. The things that we're seeing now is just the big tip of the iceberg. That shit has been in the government for 20 years.
Yeah, but let's discuss the alien disclosure in Mexico, because that's, even it's a big hoax, which is kind of high probability since it comes in the mainstream. One of the biggest mainstream TV stations were publishing it, which is kind of sketchy. But we published the bonus episode called Aliens Built the Pyramids. A few days after, they allegedly found 2 mummified aliens near or in Peru, near Machu Picchu, near the Nazca lines as well. Yeah. 2 ancient sites. Could that confirm?
And these aliens, one of allegedly also, because there haven't been done public studies on them yet, but as far as I know, but what they found inside the body of these aliens was rare metals, constructed metals that not found in nature, which has been infused into the body in some weird way. In one of them, the other one had eggs inside. So is this a hoax? It's a fucking risky hoax.
Yeah, but they found something that it either didn't exist on Earth or it was very rare on Earth. So I
think it's real.
Because it just fits into the whole...
It's too well, I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm not making any conclusions, but again, like you said, it's nice now that shit is in front of the Congress now. Shit is in the open and people are not making as much... This shit could never happen 10 years ago. There's no way that someone would have stood up and said, oh, I have 2 alien bodies, and presented it to the government. I remember I saw some show in Gaia where they were also talking to that guy. This guy allegedly also been involved in some hoax before. But again, you don't know what's up and down, because the people that debunk it, or the people that they could be lying too, because the fucking government is lying about anything anyway.
Yeah.
They lie about everything anyway, and they would try to make Roswell crash look like a fucking weather balloon. So if they try to do that and they debunk this guy, well, who the fuck are we to believe then?
It's difficult to disclose who's right and who's not.
Yeah, but I definitely believe, when I look at it, my theory is for sure. Also, when you look at the chromosomes, another thing that we looked at,
why
the work of Greg, yeah.
Why does that make it to the news?
Yeah.
Why not all of the UFO sites and sightings and all that stuff? Why this particular news? If they hadn't interested in hiding it from keeping the public eye, then why does it come out? I'm just, it's kind of confusing.
It's a difficult thing, man, but I think it also has to do with the way that the CIA works. Because this is a very, at the end of the day, this is fucking CIA shit. Those are the people that make up false flags. They put out disinformation with the right information so that when people speak about it, they seem like fucking lunatics. Because they give Bob Lazar, they give him some right information. We found this crash. We don't know what the propulsion system is. It's built by green aliens from this system and da-da-da. So when he hears it, it sounds crazy, and 90% of it might be false, So when he tells the story to someone else, people are like, that's not fucking true. And this could be a part of that, because if you have some right information coming out and you can't defend against that information coming out because of the internet, then the only thing you can do is overflood with false information that can be tied together with the right information so that no one knows what's wrong and right. You know what I mean? And
it's difficult to tell, man.
So difficult to tell what's real and what's not, because I feel like that's a big tactic right now, and it has been for so long, to kind of confuse people's.
But that's why I began studying this human history in the first place, to kind of seek some answers for myself, because you don't get them from the news. And I guess that's part of the reason why you did it as well. It all started with the pyramids. Everything started with the pyramids.
It did.
And then it took off from there. And you don't have to study the pyramids more than 5 minutes to say, oh, something is fucking wrong, right?
Something is insane.
Yeah, they're lying to us.
Yeah.
You have a pyramid, the big pyramid in Giza, with what, 2 million stone each, 2 million stones each weighing 20 tons, placed with millimeter precision, so precise that you can't fit a paper in between the stones.
Yeah.
And you tell us that slaves built that?
The architecture behind that structure is fucking...
Modern technology couldn't even do that today.
Yeah, and that's also what, like, sometimes when I talk to people, like, when I say, okay, you realize how insane the pyramid is built, and people tell me, but it's the most natural structure in the world. If you took sand and did like this, it would also go in the shape of a pyramid. And I'm like, listen up.
Yeah.
If you make a 10 centimeter mistake in the bottom, by the time you just get 2-3 floors up, you have to go down, back down, fix that little fucking thing, and then rebuild it. And that didn't happen. How the fuck did they build it with that precision? I mean, you make one fucking tiny mistake, and you're fucked. And that shit has been standing for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And that's just one of the things. Then there's the alignment with the stars, alignment with the planet, alignment with the mass of the planet. Then there's the ratio between the pyramids and everything else we have, the months of the year, like, for instance, pi. The foot, the meter, and the what's it called? Arm's length. Then we have,
which wasn't invented back then.
And then we have another thing which I think is insane. If you take the pyramid and you make it increase the size by 43,200, it fits exactly inside the Earth, half of the Earth. Right? So it would be half of the Earth if you put it inside, because it fits inside a fucking sphere, right? That's also half the amount of seconds in a day. So if you double the pyramid and you put it inside the Earth and make it that bigger, you have the exact amount of seconds in a day. Is that coincidence, or is it because, again...
It's not coincidence, because there's so many instances of them when you look at the pyramid, if you study them.
Again, that's what I mean with the whole thing. When I look at it, I'm like, someone fucking built this as a system, also with the planets.
But we asked our previous guest about it.
And he knows.
And we got the answer. So according to Jim
McCarty.
Yeah, they were built by, and this sounds fucking nuts, but we will tell the backstory, or the story behind it. But they were built by thoughts, by aliens.
Yeah.
Build them by thoughts. And the reason why that's possible is because stone is a life form, just like water, just like fire, just like soil. It's a life form. So it's movable by using mentality, if I understand it correctly.
But also I want to how I see it is also a little bit different, because yes,
but it's a theory.
Think about it like this: you have time, and we always see time from our perspective. 100 years is a long time. No, it's not. Not if you look in the lifetime of stone, or in the lifetime of wood, or in the lifetime of, and if you look at a lifetime of a rabbit or of a fucking fruit fly, our lifetime is insanely high, the time that we have. So if you really expand lifetime out, this is just my theory also. If you took a camera and you filmed a stone over, let's say, 100,000 years, and you fast forward it to, let's say...
Then it became a human being.
10 minutes. I am 100% sure, who knows? Like, I'm 100% sure we would realize something that we haven't realized before in the way of a lifestyle. Because when we look at it, it's just static. It's just there because we don't see the movement of it.
But I 100,000% believe that everything has life.
Yeah.
And I also use that in my argument when people tell me that I'm mean to animals because I eat animals. Because what about the plants?
Yeah, same thing.
We have had this discussion before, and it's not a conspiracy that plants have life. They have conducted scientific experiments on them where they can see that they perceive pain whenever you cut a leaf or do something to them, and they communicate. They have the mycelium in the ground, so we know that it's a life form.
Yeah, and there's also
And how do we determine life? Is it a cow? Is it a plant? Is life only life from a mouse and up? I don't see that.
But I think there's also, to me, one of the reasons I don't eat meat is, I mean, it's not the reason. The reason I eat meat is because I tried it and it just resonates with me. That's why I do it. No bigger thing, and I have my own theories on why it works for me. But I think what's wrong, if you have to talk about what's wrong about the industry, also plant industry for that matter.
It's the industry. It hasn't shit to do with the food.
No.
It's the industry. It's the cultivation.
The Indians also was eating animals, like their buffaloes and shit like that, and they were respecting it very much. You know, they were.
It's an ancient tradition to eat animals.
Yeah.
So it's not something new.
Not Indians, Native Americans is called, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, it's interesting what he said. If we go back to the pyramids, is that Ra, which is an entity, people know that the eye of Ra. People always combine that. You have it right there. The eye of Ra is in a lot of ancient buildings and pyramids in Egypt, and it is an entity which was summoned or which was unearthed when the pyramids were built. And an alien, basically an alien race that has, well, I don't even know. They've evolved into something bigger, and now they're communicating. They are communicating with people that let them communicate with them. So if you channel them, if you really want to speak to Ra, you can. This is what Jim McCarty. What was the other one's called? Don something.
Don Elkins, I think.
Don Elkin and Carla. These three people, they were channeling Ra. So they were channeling this alien being that built the pyramids in the 80s. Yeah. And they came up with a whole book that's called Law of One, which we also have an episode on. And Jim McCarty told us that Ra was an entity that came as a physical form. Also kind of makes sense when you look at the pyramids. Like, how many of those fucking characters look real compared to the real people that they have?
Animal heads.
Animal heads and things like that, and way bigger. But anyway, he said that Ra built the pyramids, and it was a healing mechanism. It was to heal, and it was to kind of energy would spiral in.
And we already know that. That's not a theory. They have made studies on that. They can see that the energy field inside a pyramid changes.
Yep. And that's been done in Russia. That's been done not in probably also in the military.
Yeah.
But I mean, not military by some dudes. I don't know what it's called. But and it has to be, one of the things he found out is it has to be organic material, which makes sense that it's made out of fucking stone then, and there's no metal inside. Because as soon as you put metal in, it's going to interfere with it, with the energy thing. This is also why I told you this one you have is also from stone, right?
Exactly.
And the one I made was made out of straws because it's just the geometric shape alone.
But the funny thing was that I've been using it for healing purposes, this one that I have. Do you remember the question that I asked Jim about what the purpose was? Mm-hmm. Because I read it in the Law of One. I read that you can use a pyramid in any size as long as it's organic material for healing purposes. Mm-hmm. Just place it underneath you and the energy will spiral up and heal. So I've used it on my clients and all that stuff. And he told me that from what he know, Ra said that it was to induce sexual energy. So that was kind of contradictory to what I know.
So maybe all of your clients go home and jerk off to porn. You never know.
But I feel ambivalent when we talk about this gym episode, and I think that we should let him speak about it, because people will think we are nuts.
Yeah.
And I go into this with an open mind. I say, I don't know.
I think it's likely.
Yeah, I think it's likely, but I don't know what's true. But of course, we need to hear it. Someone is bullshitting, someone is not. But let people decide.
Yeah.
Let the audience have their own opinion.
Yeah, because there's a lot of great knowledge coming from the books and the things that they channel.
Definitely.
It's not just bullshit that they came up with. It's like a lot of it makes sense, and similar to the stuff that Bashar says, that alien. Some of the stuff you listen and you're like, wait, is this fake? I'm also not. Well, I believe a lot of shit, I guess, but I also try to stay critical. I don't like go around and just believe it and just like, and then all of a sudden the next week I'm also channeling. You know what I mean?
I see you as a critical person, yeah, and I see you as someone who can.
But when I look at things, I like to make my own sense out of things. And when I look at just the planet itself, I see a clockwork. I see something that was put in place, because otherwise, why would you have so specific things that is detailed all the way down to the fucking pyramid, which is, he also said, was there to balance the earth. You remember he said that? Yeah. That the Ra told him that the pyramids were placed to balance the earth, like physically, so that it wouldn't go out of place, because there's energy coming in and out, and it's basically keeping the pyramid in place. So that was one of the function of the pyramids back then, to keep it in place. And I think when I hear it, it's not that far off. I think that's way more likely than once upon a time there was a comet that flew into Earth, and then the two separated. And
yeah, of course. And imagine how little we know now, how dumb we are.
Yeah.
So we cannot say if something is true or false. We're so stupid.
Why not keep an open mind instead of just believing every fucking thing you read in one of the books you get in university? Fucking hate those books.
That's bullshit.
I got a pee break.
We're back. Yeah, and you're a bit busy because you have the 9 to 5 life right now, right?
I have, but yeah, I kind of needed that, because before this I had
finances,
the opposite of a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
When I was living in China, that was fucking thinking on your feet. I can tell you that much. When you live in a place where you're never gonna get accepted. You're never going to get accepted in the culture, first of all. I think anyone that lives in China, Japan, or anything, as a white person or as any other race, you will, even if it's good or bad, you will never be accepted. And it's always, you're never going to feel at home. And I must say, I have such much bigger respect for immigrants in Denmark after I've been to China for 7 years. I understand it a lot more than I did before, because fuck, that shit is tough. Like, just when you're used to eating stuff and hearing stuff, everything becomes a struggle. Everything, and you seek together with the people from your own country, even though like you have a Danish group like we had in China. Of course, we're more lucky in China than immigrants are in Denmark or in Sweden or something like that, because the people that are Danish people in China are normally people with fucking GM positions and expat contracts and, you know, whiskey lovers and shit like that, you know, not the typical like immigrant status in the society, but still, it's not easy, man. And at the same time, I was doing my own business and trying to do my own stuff. So it was the exact opposite of a 9 to 5. And I could feel now that is what I needed. But I needed one that could still allow me to learn and still allow me to grow, you know? So I'm actually fine with it.
But now you're home again.
I'm home again.
Safe environment.
Yeah, safe environment. But then I do stuff like this instead. That puts me a little bit out of the comfort zone, because do new stuff, always learn, and don't be afraid of trying something new. I feel like it's necessary, and I still, no matter what, I will always have that entrepreneurial or like trying to be curious and learn and stuff like that. I feel like it has to be a balance, you know. And since I now have the stability on that side, I'm kind of missing the other side, and I'm trying to balance it out in that way, you know.
You never told me about these blood test results and where you are now. Have you finished the experiment of living like a...
I've actually got the results. I can show them to you, but because I don't know how to, maybe that could actually be a fun thing because I have to Google them. I got so many and there's no explanation to them.
Let's not do that now because that's pretty... They have some different terms in what you get from the doctor. Because their measurements is kind of,
They really like, I feel like
but I guess you can see in there, are you within the normal values or not, right?
they are not professional at making graphs, that's for fucking sure. They don't even say what the unit number is. They don't even, they just say, they give me like a square and then it says a dot and then there's a blue area and it doesn't say what the blue area is, it doesn't say what the dot is, it doesn't say what the fucking measurement on each side is. I'm like, how am I supposed to Google this when I don't know anything?
I Googled all of mine as well because it was very confusing. But with most of them, it's said within if I were within the normal range or not.
They should have this graphic designer, that's for sure. Someone at the fucking...
But where are you now on the journey? Well, back to the healthy lifestyle.
I can feel it. I can feel that I'm back on track now. I can feel I'm not getting sick. I'm sleeping better. I have more energy. I
need to see the testosterone test. Yeah. That was what I told you. Call them, say testosterone. But they told you...
Do that next time. Next time
they told you no, right?
Last time I was like, I think there's testosterone. I like to do my blood test and testosterone. And they're like, yeah, we can do it.
Just say that you can't get a boner. Yeah.
That will work?
I think that would work.
Because they said...
Say you can't get a boner.
I'm fucking impotent.
Yeah. It's done. But the reason why I want you to take it is, of course, because of your vegan journey. One thing is that you say you feel good, but I want to see your testosterone. And of course, diet is not the only factor for how your testosterone is, but it's playing a role.
And I'm trying something else too. Because I'm like, okay, in order for this to be an interesting project, the supplements I do also has to be completely
natural,
plant-based.
Plant-based?
Yeah, because why not? Yeah. Because so I tried, and I'd like to hear your perspective on this. I switched out fish oil with hemp oil. Hemp has all the omega acids, 3, 6, and 9, which is normally what you get in fish oil.
Flax seeds is, I don't know if it's a better alternative, but it's another alternative. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm trying that too. So actually it's going to be completely plant.
Micronutrition wise, it's still not the same. Animal is king in the micronutrient world. And you know that because I have said it before.
Yeah.
But of course, if you want to go all in, you have to do it plant-based.
We try. And I'm also open to go back to fish oil.
But I need to see those blood values. Yeah. I need to see them because then I can see if you are totally fucked.
Well, I said them to you. You could see them.
Because one thing, like we talked about, one thing is the micronutrient values, which I think are fucked in your body based on all the research that I've been doing. But another thing is, how do you feel? And is food as important as we make it? I don't think it is.
No.
So maybe that's superior to the micronutrient levels in your body. Maybe it's not. But we don't really know. Because how can you fast for X amount of days without becoming sick? You don't get micronutrients into your body. On the contrary, you deplete your body.
And you get healthy, yeah.
Yeah. And I do fasting every day. I only eat for a period of 8 hours per day.
True, I do too. Yeah. And I think that's another biohack that many people should do is every year set aside 4 or 5 days and just drink fucking water. I did it a month ago. I did it actually before I went on the other way. I did it because I just do it once a year. And it's the toughest thing, again, going outside of your comfort zone. But this is more, instead of like a dynamic, like this one, you go down, it's cold. This one, you gotta endure it. It's endurance uncomfortability.
Days. Yeah, and it's like we talked about, we've done it, both of us, and it's more like a mental task than it's a physical.
Yeah.
Because one thing is that you don't get nutrition into your body, but another thing is to endure it, like you say. You're constantly hungry, but you have to say to yourself, no food is incoming.
Yeah.
I can smell the food, I can see the food. That's the worst part.
It is the worst part, and
You live with your family or a partner or anything, you know.
yeah, and some people can handle it, and some people cannot. But I really think it's a mental thing as well, like you say. And one thing I really like to do, that would be actually cool if we do that together. Maybe even made a little fucking video out of it. Go to nature and do 3-4 days or one day. Yep, one day. Fucking Sweden, I don't know. And then just sit and just be there, and then fucking maybe even make a podcast episode.
But we're gonna climb the mountain this winter, right?
Yep.
Maybe we do it fasted.
Okay, that's
Climb the mountain fasted, just for a few days.
yeah. No eating.
Don't take any risk. Just explore it. Feel what it's like to be in nature. No electronics.
So what's okay, let's get a rundown of that plan. I like to hear that. So we go up, boom, what happens then?
We have a tent. We have survival kits, of course, because it is Sweden. It's another type of nature than here in Denmark. We have the essentials. Maybe we'll do a podcast episode of there if the crew wants to join us. But this is for ourselves and to get the experience.
And you want to chop yourself through the ice.
Then we're gonna chop ourselves through the ice, take an ice bath the natural way, and just be in nature. There's no plan. See the sunrise, see the sunsets. No phones.
Nothing.
Just climb it.
Yeah.
And just live like what it is to be in nature. I have a dream that if we see an animal, I want to kill it and eat it as well.
Okay.
So maybe that should be the backup plan.
What, with a bow and arrow or what?
I don't know.
With a fucking axe?
Sticks and stones.
Fucking hopefully it's not a bear.
I don't know if there's bear in Sweden.
There's
Bears. Yeah.
and the fucking
So not that mountain.
moose. You wanna kill a moose? That shit's gonna kill you. That's a fucking massive animal.
And we don't know shit because we live in this flat, safe.
We gotta do it.
Yeah.
We gotta fucking do it.
Denmark is so comfortable. It's so flat. You don't have any dangerous animals here. What do we have? A fox?
I read the most dangerous animal in Denmark is the fruit fly
No.
because it spreads bacteria.
But there's so many of them. I think we have like...
Mosquitoes, I don't know, or bees because of the fucking, it's some tiny ass animal.
Yeah. That says a lot about Denmark.
Yeah, there's nothing here. So we gotta go to Sweden to die.
Yeah.
No, maybe. We'll see.
Die and get reborn.
But yes.
That's good. That's a plan. And
we didn't even get to talk about the eating.
eating, no, there's a lot that we didn't get.
We need the whole episode about eating, about...
I want to do the game because you promised me last time that we do the game and we introduce the listeners.
But I think
of course we do.
what we can do is this. We could ask the people listening, or we could just make up question ourselves.
Before?
Yeah, before. And then we make the questions ready, and then we ask Yijing, and then we see what the Yijing answers, because this is an oracle.
But don't you have to be in tune with the question? Isn't it something that the question needs to belong to you?
Yeah, but you just have to really... Yeah, you have to be, but I mean, I guess we try it. Okay. We see what it is.
Okay.
It says like this. The Yijing answers but once, meaning you can only ask it one time and you cannot doubt it. So that's all you have to do. You can ask it anything. You just cannot doubt the answer that it gives.
Yeah, because I asked it one question once.
Mm-hmm.
What is my spiritual development going to be like through life? And the question was, I think it was the most negative questions of all of them. Answers. I think there's something like 50 or 60 answers, right?
64.
And the answer was the most negative of them all. I was like, fuck, man.
But that's maybe because, so the eating is like this. Okay, we got to get more into another thing. But there's always a way to react to it. It's basically just how to react to situations. So you can interpret it as super negative, or you can interpret it as how to get out of a negative situation, or how to learn from it, or how to turn it around. It's kind of like the Bible. You read, some people take the Bible literal, which is fucking stupid in my opinion. Other people, they read it and they make their own interpretation of what the fuck the story is about. Because in reality, the story is about something that has to resonate with you. And the same with this one. There comes a story, and then you put yourself in the mental state of how does this apply to my question, and how can I react to this in the best possible way?
But we're going to do that in the next solo.
Yeah.
We're going to do that. And also, if there's anything else that the listeners want us to discuss,
tell us.
And maybe we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll not.
Yeah. If it's about aliens, for sure. 100%.
But this is fun. You got to go back to work.
Yeah, I got to go.
I will jump in the ice.
That's good.
See you in a few weeks.
See you in a few weeks.
Bye.
Bye.